Hi, we're back for another edition of Talk to Us Tuesday. This is our live 30-minute chat where you get to ask us questions. I'm your host, Kristen Chernosky, and I'm joined today by Youth Services Manager Tanya Russell. Tanya, thank you for being here. If you have questions for the Office of Youth Services, Brighton Youth Commission, Youth Corps, Tanya's here to answer all your questions the next 30 minutes. So let's start, Tanya. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with the city.
Okay. I've been with the City of Brighton in the Office of Youth Services for about 8 years. I'm the manager of Youth Services, so we explain that as kind of an umbrella. The Office of Youth Services is the umbrella, and there's a number of initiatives underneath that umbrella.
Great. So tell us about, on a day-to-day basis, what the office looks like. What are you guys working on?
It's a little bit wild. So one of the biggest things that we do is we work with the Brighton Youth Commission and the Brighton Youth Corps volunteers. And then we also run a number of initiatives for young people, cradle through career.
Great. Again, we're here with Tanya Russell, our manager of the Office of Youth Services here at the City of Brighton. And if you have questions, please feel free to leave them, and we'll try and get to as many questions as we can today. And if you're not joining us live, feel free to leave your questions and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I did get a question earlier from Dave, who is not able to join us while we're live, but he did ask, where can he get involved to impact youth?
The Brighton Youth Commission has a number of volunteer opportunities for adult members to serve as well. So anybody that's interested can look on our website, which is just www.brightonyouthcommission.org. And also by phone or email, contacting myself. In addition to the Brighton Youth Commission, oftentimes we have a number of different opportunities for adults to help develop young people as leaders, whether it be interview prep or practice networking. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities.
Great. So talk to us a little bit more about the initiatives that you're currently working on in the office.
So aside from the Brighton Youth Commission, a few things that we're working on right now is we have a big campaign called Growing Grads. The Growing Grads is a number of different pieces, but one of the pieces is college and career readiness. So we are hosting a big college and career readiness kickoff on October 10th, sorry. In addition to that kickoff, there will be 4 nights out in the community where students and families can come and get hands-on help filling out the FAFSA, the financial aid form that they need to go to college, as well as get hands-on help writing scholarship essays or college applications.
And so why is that important? Why did you guys feel that this was something that you wanted to add to the community and get people to come to?
When we first started it, we knew that it was incredibly important because if a young person fills out the financial aid form and completes it, they're more likely to attend college, which makes sense because college is expensive, and if you know that you have the money to pay for it, you're more likely to enroll and attend. It's also not an easy application to fill out, so sometimes just having a little bit of direction helps a ton.
And what's some of the feedback that you've gotten in the past from people who have attended?
We've gotten great feedback. So the kickoff specifically, we've decided to change over the past couple years, not just to focus on college, but also to focus on career readiness. So we have a number of apprenticeships and trade schools, as well as the military opportunities present. So some of the feedback that we've gotten is that young people have found where they want to go to college, which is exciting. Some of the really exciting feedback is with the scholarship piece, just learning about scholarships that are available and connecting with the actual representatives. Young people come back and said, I got a full ride scholarship, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's great. So again, we're live here with Youth Services Manager Tanya Russell. If you have questions that you'd like to ask her, feel free to leave those comments and we will try and get your questions answered. So one of the things that you mentioned is the Brighton Youth Commission, and you help run the Youth Commission. So talk to me about their role in the community. What is the Youth Commission?
Okay, so the Brighton Youth Commission is a group of 22 teenagers and 6 adults. They study matters and plan events affecting young people and families in the city of Brighton. They also act as an active voice on behalf of the youth for policymakers in the city. So the initiatives that they work on change over the years, just depending on who's on the commission. But they have a couple of different roles to let their voice be heard. One of the things that they do that is really remarkable is that they have spots for young people on adult study boards, because oftentimes what happens is a group of decision makers sit in a room and decide what's best for young people without hearing the voice of young people. So by having those spots on adult study boards, are able to really give their input on how things will impact them.
Right, and so how have you seen the Youth Commission grow since you've been here?
It's really grown like crazy in the past 8 years that I've been here. Their reach has really grown to impact people nationwide. So I get calls from around the country that people have heard of them and are interested in kind of figuring out how it is that they work and how they operate.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten a few recognitions on the statewide level just for the impact that they've had on a couple different of their programs, specifically Speak.
Speaking of Speak, tell us about how that initiative began and kind of how it's grown and what the purpose of it is.
Okay. Speak has been going on, I believe we're entering our 8th year. Shortly after I started with the City of Brighton, there was an unfortunate circumstance where there was a suicide by a senior at Brighton High School. And the community was really impacted by that. The Youth Commission at the time really wanted to do something to try to address raising awareness about mental health in the community and doing what they could to prevent suicide. And I tell this story often, but when they first decided what they wanted to do, I said, what does that look like? They said they wanted to do a week-long worth of education in public schools, followed by a 5K walk. And I said, I'm out. That's a terrible idea, mostly because I am not an event planner. I know that it's hard to scale things like that, working with a lot of people. But we focus heavily on youth-adult partnerships, so they reminded me youth-adult partnerships is where we all have an equal say at the table, and they really wanted to try it. So that first year, I gave them about $200 to start the project, and they raised $8,000 the first year. So Speak took place in 2 schools, and they did have a 5K community walk. Last year, we were in 15 schools, and still the walk is continuing to grow. And to date, they've raised over $100,000 for mental health awareness and suicide prevention.
That's great. So 15 schools, how many students is that impacting?
It's approximately 8,000 students.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
What have you heard year after year from those that either attend the walk or hear about Speak in the schools?
I hear a lot of positivity about the work that they're doing regarding, breaking down the stigmas surrounding mental health, just like it's aimed to do. I truly believe that it is life-changing for some people. Some of the things that I don't think of all the time that I hear is just how amazing it is that it's not adults planning this. It's young people writing the grants and young people planning the 5K walk. I tell people all the time they're really my boss. So they share an idea, and it's up to us as adults to try to figure out how to teach them to make that idea work. So aside from what you can see on the surface, which is saving lives, breaking down stigmas surrounding mental health, it's impactful for those planning it because it's truly teaching them leadership skills that they're going to use forever.
Yeah, that's great. So we have our first question that's come in live, and I believe you know this person, Hannah Armentrout.
Oh, hi, Hannah.
She asked, can you describe some of your favorite memories or stories from your time working with the Youth Commission?
I have a lot of favorite stories. I think some of my absolute favorite stories are, let me think. We do a lot together. So when I'm thinking about Speak and thinking about my time with each of the individual youth commissioners, a lot of it is deadline driven. And deadlines are hard for anybody, but when you're talking about working with a group of 10 teenagers and all of us are struggling, juggling 1,000 different balls, but we managed to get a grant together and then the celebration afterwards, that's always fun. I think another favorite part of working with the Youth Commission specifically is getting to see young people grow. So they start out as, 8th graders, and they're scared and timid and shy. And I could use Hannah as an example because she just wrote in, but she is in law school now. So I see them start as scared, timid young people, and they grow into be these amazing leaders.
So I know every year you come to council around graduation time, and council gets to acknowledge the graduating seniors, and I think I've heard you say the same thing every year, that you're always so nervous to have these youth commissioners leave and a whole new set of youth commissioners join. What have you seen though? Because every year it seems like...
I panic every year. The first year that I had a graduating class, which that graduating class I believe was the graduating class of 2012, there were 15 seniors. So I was still fairly new, and they really taught me how to do my job. So I thought, this has got to be the end. Like, the Youth Commission probably isn't going to go on anymore. But every year, the new incoming commissioners, as scared as I am, they just continue to surprise me, and we continue to find young people that are so passionate about not only developing themselves as leaders, but serving their community. And so I don't know why I get scared, because every year I find amazing new people to carry on the torch.
So in addition to Youth Commission, you have Youth Corps. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a number of years ago, we had Youth Commission interviews, and like I said, it's limited by, there's only 22 people that can serve. And I think we had maybe 4 open spots, and we had about maybe 25 people show up for interviews. So the Youth Commission at the time said, wow, we're really missing the mark. We have all these young people, just because we don't have room for them to serve on our group, we need to create some other way for them to serve. So that's how the Youth Corps was born. So Youth Corps members, they meet once a month, and we ask them to serve their community for 4 hours, volunteer service a month, whether that be at a Brighton Youth Commission event or a city event, or even through a nonprofit that they choose. And at their monthly meetings, we just work really hard on developing their leadership skills as well.
Great.
And that opportunity, the Youth Commission is open for young people 8th grade to 19. Youth Corps members can start as young as 10.
Wow. And I imagine you have some 10-year-olds that start
We do.
with Youth Corps.
Yep.
That's great. So I know twice a year you take a group of Youth Commission members to the National League of Cities Conference. Why is that important, and what do they learn while they're there?
So the National League of Cities Conference is a conference that is designed to help elected officials and local leaders learn how to network and run their cities better. For part of that conference, they have a whole youth track where young people can network with other people in youth commissions from around the country. So I think it's important for a couple different reasons. One is it allows them to see other commissions and what they're doing and learn from them. It brings new ideas and fresh things to our commission, but it also really teaches them how to get outside of their comfort zone and continue to lead. They get the opportunity to meet elected officials from around the country that oftentimes impact them in ways that that are pretty amazing.
Yeah. Again, if you are joining us, we are live with Youth Services Manager Tanya Russell. And if you have any questions about youth services here in the city, she's here to answer your questions. And if you join us later, we'll be sure to answer any questions that you might leave us after we're not live. So we've been talking a lot about Youth Commission and Youth Corps. If someone's kind of been watching and they're ready to get involved, how do they do that? What's the process?
There's an application process. The application process for Youth Commission is a little bit more stringent. We only accept applications and do interviews in May. Usually we interview Youth Corps members at the same time as we do commission members, but the schedule's a little bit more flexible. So if somebody's interested in either of those 2 groups, they should just contact my office right away. I recommend that if young people are interested in serving on either of those groups, they just start coming to our meetings. Our meetings are open to the public, so anybody can come check out a Youth Commission meeting and see kind of how we operate and what we do.
And when do you guys meet?
We meet the first and third Thursday of every month, Youth Commission, and they have dinner at 5 o'clock, and the actual meeting starts at 5:30. And it depends on how, we go until we're done, so depending on what time of year it is.
Okay.
But then Youth Corps meets the first Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock.
Great. So I know you have a big event that you're already starting to plan for in the spring, and that's the 2-day youth summit called the Image Summit. It's a statewide conference. So tell us a little bit about that. What has the experience been the last couple years, and where's it going?
The Image Summit started a few years ago as just a local leadership conference designed to help young people build their confidence and figure out how to get involved in their community. We kind of started with, the Youth Commission was able to get all these leadership skills. How do we really expand that to other young people in the community? The first year was a success. The second year we decided, how do we bring young people from around the state in? So we've been doing that since. It's one of the most amazing events I've ever been a part of. The goal really is to build confidence and leadership skills in young people so that they could influence policy in their communities. What I've seen from so many young people is they want to serve and they want to have their voice heard, but if we don't ask them and give them the platform, then we never hear from them. So that conference is designed to do so. So with that, we have 2 days full of exciting keynote speakers, really to inspire and guide. And then in addition to that, we do workshops, and with the goal in mind of building confidence and leadership, that could look like any number of things. So art and music and movement and voice, all those things are incorporated.
Now, I know one of the workshops that you do is with elected officials where they get to meet with the attendees at the conference. What do you hear from both the attendees and the elected officials when they have that opportunity to come together and talk?
I often hear from elected officials and adults like, goodness, I had no idea that that young people had all these ideas. So it's exciting to hear from them that they didn't know and now they do know, and so they can carry that onto their communities and continue to ask questions and get input. And then I think young people, oftentimes, if they had never had the experience before, it can seem really intimidating and scary, but after having had that experience, they kind of say like, gosh, they're people, just like me, and I can talk to them. They really do want to hear my voice. So yeah, it's really, I think, a learning experience for both people that are involved.
And what are the ages?
The ages for the Image Summit are 10 to 19.
Okay. So a couple more questions. On an especially tough day, what motivates you to work with youth?
I think on the especially tough days, and there are some tough days, what motivates me the most is I do have young people that have come back and said that the work that I do specifically has impacted their life. So whether it be, it's a range of things, helping a young person get out of an abusive situation, or helping a young person learn how to use their voice, or helping them get the money that they need to pay for college. All those things are super motivating. So yeah, it keeps me going.
Great. And then likewise, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is for every one that young person that I help, there are so many that I haven't reached yet or my team hasn't reached yet. And knowing that there are so many that just one touch could like be life-changing is kind of mind-blowing for me.
Yeah. I know when I stop by your office that you often have past commissioners that have gone on to college or other things come back and visit you. What have they told you their work with the city has done for them? How's it impacted them?
I love to hear those stories, and I hear them often. I think that probably the thing that I hear the most is that it gave them the confidence that they needed to find their place in the world. So when you're given the platform to have your voice heard at such a young age, which a lot of people aren't, it really is something that you carry through forever. So I hear often that a young person will say, you know, I was in a situation where my voice was stifled, but all I had to do is stop and think back to the work that I did with the city, and it empowered me to continue to use my voice.
That's great. Well, I think we have wrapped up our questions. If you join us later and have a question that wasn't answered, feel free to leave it and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Tanya, any final words or anything that we missed that you want people to know?
I think the only thing that I would add that I haven't said yet is we always say on the commission that if you don't reach out to get involved, then we might not find you. So if young people are interested in making a difference and growing their leadership skills, call me and call me and call me and call me until you get involved.
And what is your phone number?
My phone number is 303-655-2123. And it can be found on the city website too. So.
Great. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Talk to Us Tuesday. We'll be back next month with a new topic, and thank you for joining us, Tanya.
Thank you.
Have a good day.